Baannee irraa dhaga'uun irraa barachuun hedduu carraadha. Kanumaan isiniin jaa gara boodaa irratti waan isin haasoytu kana hanga dandeenyutti pooyintiilee takka takka namoota akka manguddootii fi namoota hiikaa afaanii barbaadaniif tuttuquudhaaf ni yaalla. Pooyintii silaa dhaga'uu qabnu. So hangasitti hanga dhumaatti nu wajjin tura. With that, Daniel, I'll give you a mic. Go ahead, take stage, please.
Okay, thank you so much for the introduction, and I greatly appreciate the invitation to speak with everyone tonight. If anyone thinks that we should do translation too, I could accommodate for that, just speak in short sentences and have that translated. Or do you just want me to proceed in English? Okay.
Yeah, just go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead and
That
continue,
sounds good. That sounds good. Okay, so I spoke with Abraham last week, and he provided me with a couple of issues that he wanted me to discuss tonight. And the first one is, how would the executive orders that have been recently passed will affect the immigrant community, and specifically the African community? So I went through and I was rereading the executive orders, and I did want to point out some of the ones that I think are worth mentioning. The first is that the new administration has indicated that they want to detain more people. In the past, they focused mainly on priorities for involved people who've committed crimes, if they have a criminal record, or if they already had a deportation order, but they never left the country. Now, the administration is going to go after anybody who's here without status. So it's very important to understand what your status is. It can be confusing, and it is something that changes over time. Maybe you entered on a tourist visa and you had 6 months to be here, and then you ended up staying here and you never did anything about your status. So that's one way that you could be here without status. Maybe you entered lawfully through one of the programs, but you lost your status later. That means you could be out of status. Maybe you were ordered removed by the immigration court, but they couldn't remove you. So there's many ways that people have no status and might be at risk of being arrested. So it is the case that we have seen some increase in immigration arrests in Minnesota, but the more often it's happening in other states. Recently, there was a really big raid in Florida, and they took in almost 1,000 people at once. But we have not seen that here in Minnesota yet, and I really hope that it doesn't happen. But you need to understand what your status is. If you have status, and even if you're a citizen, you may want to take around your passport with you. If you are a lawful permanent resident, obviously have your green card with you. If you are here in TPS or you applied for asylum and you have a work permit, make sure to carry that with you. If you're in court and you have an upcoming court date, make sure you can check that online, and you can print that at another, you can print when your next hearing is. So I do want to show you how to put in your alien number on the immigration court website, and you can find out when your next hearing is. If you're in court, you have to be very sure that you don't miss a court date. Okay. So again, make sure you know what your status is. If you need to renew your work permit, you can start 6 months at a time. Okay, so you're coming up on your work permit being expired. Make sure you start the renewal so that you have the receipt notice and you can carry that with you while you wait for the new work permit to arrive. So 100% advice for everyone is to carry proof of your status. Right now, you can be asked to show what your status is. It can be the case that even if you have status, immigration can take you into custody. Sometimes they arrest people that they're not really sure if they're in status or not in status. Sometimes it's not clear to them. And so they will sometimes arrest people who have status. So it's very important to have some phone numbers memorized. So if you get taken into custody, you can call someone and that person can help you get connected to a lawyer if you don't already have a lawyer. And I do have a list of many lawyers that are trustworthy lawyers here in the Twin Cities, and I will provide that to you because not all lawyers are available to take cases at any given moment. Sometimes we travel and we're out of the city, and if something happens, you want to make sure you have a list of reliable attorneys that you can call if you are taken into custody. Now, it is important to know that if you have a prior order of removal, then they can remove you from the United States, and they will try to do whatever they can to remove you from the United States. If you do not have a removal order against you, you can try to fight to stay in the United States and ask for a bond. So if you have status and they took you into custody wrongfully, then you can have someone go down to the office at the federal building and show what your status is, or get them connected to your attorney. If they believe that you're here without status, or that you're deportable for some reason, usually that you've committed a crime in the United States, then maybe they'll put you in deportation proceedings and you can ask for a bond. A bond is an amount of money that you can pay to get out of custody. But it's not easy. If you're taken into custody, it could be very difficult to get out. And I had a client recently, he's from Mexico, and he was arrested in St. Louis Park. This happened on February 25th. He has US citizen children who are born here and they're under 21. So we knew that he had a defense to removal through his children, and he's lived here for more than 10 years. So we were trying to get him out on bond, but they moved him from Minnesota to Louisiana, and it took until the beginning of April to get him out of immigration custody. So sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes it could be more immediate. It really depends on the situation. So I definitely encourage you to carry your status with you at all times. Try not to lose your work permit or your green card or your passport. And sometimes clients leave their wallet in their car and people break into the car and steal the wallet, and then they don't have documents anymore. So be very careful. take pictures of your documents and keep them on your phone. I make for all of my clients, I give them an envelope with photocopies of their work permit, of their hearing notice, of their whatever they need, the asylum receipt notice. We can put it all together in the envelope, and they carry that with them. And they keep the originals at home. So you decide what's best for you, but make sure that you are prepared in case you come across ICE in the community. They are walking around, they're driving around, they're looking for people, okay? And they have their long list of people that they're looking for. Sometimes they come to your house. If they come to your house, you do not have to open the door unless they have a warrant. A warrant is something that's signed by a judge, and it has to be the official document. Most often, ICE does not have a judicial warrant. So if you're in your home, do not just open the door to ICE, okay? You should feel safe and secure in your own home. If you have nothing to hide, you can open the door and say, look, I'm a citizen. But as we know, they are arresting even some citizens because they're confused about the person's status. So that's why right now is a very troubling time. Another point that I wanted to make, this is another executive order. It's essentially the new administration is giving authority to ICE to conduct what's called an expedited removal. That means without the immigration court being involved, they can deport people who have been living in the country under 2 years. So if you're here and you do not have a pending asylum case or TPS case or something, you have no status, and you just arrived within the last 2 years, they could, under this, deport you without giving you the opportunity to see a judge. Obviously, immigration attorneys like myself are not happy with that kind of expedited removal authority, because we want our clients to be able to go in front of a judge and potentially stay in the United States. I do a lot of that work at the federal building. I do a lot of asylum cases. And then sometimes there's special visas, like the U visa for victims of crimes. Sometimes people get married to US citizens or green card holders, and they're able to fix their status that way. So if you don't have status, you may have a defense to removal, but the new administration is going to try to deport as many people as they can. Right now, it has not been easy for them, and they have not deported as many people as they would like to, which I think shows that our system is not set up to deport lots of people, depending on what the new president wants to do. Another executive order that has come into play is regarding processing immigrant visas at consulates abroad. So if you're, say, a US citizen and you want to bring your wife to the United States who lives in Ethiopia, and you have to go through that process of doing the I-130 petition and then setting up the consular appointment, it might be harder. It has always been very hard to do that process, but now it's becoming harder because the new administration wants to increase their vetting procedures for people coming here. And so there's a lot of suspicion that having more stringent vetting procedures means that they're going to start denying more cases. They're going to take a really long time to do it. You could be waiting years in order to get your family member here. So that I think will affect the community because many people have the interest to bring family over here. You may have already started the process or you're thinking about starting the process, and it will be very slow over the next 4 years. Right now, they TPS for Somalia and Ethiopia is still ongoing. The TPS date expires on March 17th of 2026 for Somalians, and for Ethiopians, it's December 12th of 2025. It may be the case that the administration tries to cut TPS for Somalia and Ethiopia after they expire. I say that because they did take steps to cut TPS for Venezuelans, and that is now in court. So currently the program is continuing, but they do want to cut it. They want to end it. So if you have TPS, you should know that it remains to be seen if they cut the program or if they keep it, if they reauthorize to extend TPS for those countries. So if you have any questions about TPS, you can feel free to ask me. The other executive orders are geared towards shutting down the border between the United States and Mexico. So some of the executive orders sent or allows for the Department of Defense, the military, the border and keep people out. They're also ending asylum at the border. So I think people who are outside of the country who want to apply for asylum at the southern border, it will be nearly impossible to do it. That said, if you're here in the country and seeking asylum, your asylum case is still going to move forward. They do want to speed it up, but I have not seen that happening. And if you are thinking about applying for asylum, you can apply for asylum online unless you're in deportation proceedings. If you're in deportation proceedings, you have to apply with the court. If anybody has any asylum questions, feel free to ask them to me. I know a lot about asylum. So that is my summary about executive orders that I think will impact the community. Other than one more I forgot to mention is that the new administration sent a stop work order to refugee resettlement here in the United States, and it's going to be impossible to do refugee work over the next 4 years. So that is another executive order that I think will impact the African community. Okay, so I did want to touch on naturalization. That is the process of becoming a citizen. So if you have your green card, it depends on how you got your green card to determine when you can apply for citizenship. So if you have your green card and you've had it for a couple of years, you should be aware of when you can apply to become a citizen, because you want to do it as soon as possible. I think naturalization is going to be another area that will slow down in processing times. During the first Trump administration, it was taking more than a year to complete the naturalization process. Under Biden, it actually sped up a little bit. It was taking like 6 to 8 months to complete the process. So for that, the fee is $725. You can file online, and I would encourage anybody who has a green card to seek asylum, not asylum, naturalization. You want to apply for naturalization as soon as you're eligible. So definitely talk to a lawyer to determine when you're eligible. If you apply too soon, they can deny your application. Okay. So that is something that I think all people who are with their green card should be very aware of. Another aspect of immigration law that I wanted to talk about is dealing with attorneys, people like myself who have the law license, versus dealing with people who do not have their law license. And if you're looking for somebody to help you with your immigration case, I highly recommend that you go with a lawyer, because it's a very complicated area of the law. And right now, it's very difficult. So, as an example, if you fill out an application and a person does not know what they're doing and they put the wrong information, then you risk getting a denial. But you can also risk getting put into removal proceedings, deportation proceedings. So now that's scarier than it used to be. It's always been scary, but with the new administration, there's a lot of pressure for Trump to deport more people than Biden and more people than Obama. So he's thinking about this in terms of numbers. He doesn't care about the people. He just wants to do more and more deportations. He wants to get rid of people that he doesn't like. But it's a very destructive thing for our community to be under that kind of pressure. So you have to protect your status. Your status is like your health. It's the most important thing that you can think of, because if you are here with a family, you have a lot of responsibilities. You have a lot of obligations, and you have to think about, will I be able to continue working? If you put your case in the hands of a non-professional, maybe your work permit gets denied, or your green card gets denied, or you get put into removal proceedings. It's going to cost you more money to clean up the mess that this non-professional created for you. So I have seen a couple of very bad examples of bad work by people in the community who are not lawyers. And I think that in my office, I have several people who work with me who are not lawyers, but I'm one reviews their work, and I make sure that it's right before we send it. And sometimes I look at it 2 or 3 times, because I'm nervous too. But if you have somebody who's just doing it and you think that you're going to save some money by doing it that way, you could be creating a lot of problems for yourself. So I wanted to emphasize that point. Make sure you know. And not all lawyers are good lawyers. Okay. So if you have the sense that your lawyer is not doing a good job for you, you have a right to fire that lawyer and find someone new. That I say because many times clients have stayed with a bad lawyer for a long time, and they haven't made the progress in their case that they needed to make, and they didn't know that they could change, or they thought, oh, I've already invested all of this money in this person, maybe they'll do the job at some point. So they don't make the switch soon enough. If you feel that your lawyer is not returning your phone calls, your lawyer is not explaining the process to you, the lawyer is only focused on the money, they just want you to pay them money, then you may look for a different lawyer. Not all lawyers are driven by greed, but some of them are. And you will be shocked at how greedy some people can be. So just keep in mind that you have rights and your immigration status is sacred and you have to protect it now more than ever. So I think I touched on many of the points that I was asked to discuss, and I wanted to leave some time for people to ask specific questions. And I do think that there's a chat going. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but
Yes,
we
we'll
can
we'll
look
get
at
into
those
the
questions.
we'll get into the this question and then maybe the follow-up question. Let me just try to elaborate a little bit in the
Yes.
promo, some of the points that you make that is
Okay.
important,
Sorry.
and then
That was a lot of
and then
points.
not all of it, but I'm just gonna
Yes.
highlight what I remember. Right? Okay.
Okay.
So pointing guddoon arraan tana abbaan seeraa namni silaa waa'ee taphataa kanarratti ogummaa isiitirraa nuuf raabsite. Tokkoffaa citizen taatus, green cardii qabaattus, work permitii qabaattus waanuma feetee'uu qabaadhu biyya kana keessatti yeroon amma keessa jirru kun yeroo hamtuu waan taateef jecha green card waa dokumentii istaatasa keessan waan ittiin biyya waraqaa jireenyaatti biyya kana if wajjin qabadhaa deemaa kan jedhu kan isiin akka poointii duraatti lafa nu keesse waan saniif wajjin qabattanii deemuun isin gargaaraa karaa uummanni amma mootummaan ammaan tana bulchiisarra jiru kuni biyya keessa facaasan nama silaa barbaaduudha jiran warraan maqaa isaaniitii fi eenyummaa isaanii harkaa qabanis akkuma jirutti ta'ee ammoo magaalaa keessa yogguu deeman namuma harka namuma isaan dura dhufees qabanii kan hidhame ni jira. Wanni akkasii taa'amaa jira. Kanaaf jecha haga dandeessanitti dokumentii teessaniif wajjin qabadhaa deemaa kan jedhu. Pointiin guddoon inni lamadaa yoo akii nama harka isaaniillee buutan hin beeytanii tilfoona tokko kasammuurraa yaadattan tilfoona yaadattanii dawwaltanii aboo akkanattiin qabamee jira natti dirmadhaa jettanii faamilii teessanitti yoo looyera taates ittiin qunnamtan tilfoona tokko kan sammuu keessa yaadattan qabaachuun barbaachisaadha kan jedhu kan isin lafa nuu keesse in keessa harka isaanii yoo buutanillee kanaaf jecha san godhuun barbaachisaadha kan jedhu nuuf wanta goote. Kan pointiin biraa yeroo ammaa tanaa kana keessatti namoota amma yeroodhaaf fa'aa dhufanii as jiran kan waraqaa amata lamaa gadi biyya kana keessa jiran odoo gara mana seeraan dhiyeessine akkuma qabameen akka darbamurra waan dalagaa jiraniif jecha hanga dandeessanitti namni waan akkasii yoo fi isin qunnamtu taate gara looyeraa qunnama namni maslaa looyeraa akka kiyyaa honfaan nama akkasii kana gargaaruudha dalagaan teenya. Keezi akkasii hedduu irratti hojjechuu jira. Kanaaf jecha hanga dandeessanitti gara qaama seeraa gara takka abukaaddoo yookiin looyeraatitti iyyadhaadha yoo nifi qabamtanii jiraatan taate firri keessan isin faana qabu wanna kun akka beekamu ka jedhu wanti guddoon isin asirratti wanni gootu yeroo ammaan tana keessa jiru kanatti pointiin biraa takka keessiin kaaftee yoo nifima haadha manaa abbaa manaa biyyarraa fidachuudhaaf illee ka waraqaa guutte yoo taate duraan illee piroosanisan dheeraa haa ta'u amma immoo haalaan dheereessanii jiranii namni biyya kana seenuudhaaf akka haalli mijoone waan godhan hundaanuu karaa isaanii hundaanuu itti jabeessaa waan deemaniif jecha abbaa manaa haadha manaa fidu haadha manaa abbaa manaa fidu ilmaan kee haadhatee abbaa kee waan akkanaa kana fiduudhaaf illee hedduu haalli ulfaataa jira ammaan tana amata afran kanaaf wanni kunillee numa ulfaata kan daran ulfaata jeetii yaada ka jiru kan isin tuyite pointiin biraa kan isin tuyite amma warra TPS jedhamu warra humanitarian protection status ka jedhamu kana warreen amma olgaltummaa yoon biyya kiyya keessatti haalli biyya kiyya hamaadha civil warriidhaatu jira waan adda addaatiifin mirgi jireenya kiyyana sarbamee achirraa bahee yoon biyya deebi'ee ni miidhama ka jiru TPS jedhanii temporary protected status jedhanii biyya kana kan namuutu jira. biyya takka already akka irraa haqaatuu jiranitti tuyxee jirti. Ammoo biyya akka Itoophiyaadhaa fi Somaaliyaa maqaa dhoyte. Kan Itoophiyaadhaa hanga Diseembar 12 bara 2015tti numa jira. Achi booda fuulduri isaa maal akka ta'u wanni nuti dilas irraa hubannu hin jiru. Walumaan hubanna kan jiru tuyxee turte. Ammaaf ammoo temporary protected status ni jira. Wanni kunillee kuni mirga ilma namaa balaarraa eewaluudhaatiif Ameerikaan uumtee wanni kun akkamitti ta'a jiru gara seeraatiin illee dura dhaabbachaan akka jirullee tuyxee jirti. Ammaaf ka jiru sani kan isin gara Itoophiyaatirraa hangasitti ni jira ka jiru tuyxee jirti. Kan yeroo ammaan tanaa kana namoonni biyya kana keessa jirtan green cardii guutuu barbaadan work permitii haa ta'uu citizen haa ta'uu guutuu barbaadan nama beekumstii waan kanaa qabu maallaqa waa xiqqoo gatii xiqqoo na kafalchiisa jettee rakkoo keessa fi naqin waan jiru pointiin kullee nama keenya hedduu laallata. Nama ogummaa waan kanaa qabu kan itti gaafatummaa waan kanaa fudhachuu danda'u qaama seeraatiin godhaa malee dogongoraan not all lawyers are a good lawyer ka jiru pointii guddoon takka ta'e isin kaafte sani dogongora keessa isin galchanii dogongora saniif booda isin horii guddaa kafaluun mala biyya kana keessa akka darbamtan dogongorri yeroo gabaabaa san keessa dalagame jiruu fi jireenya keessan irratti miidhaa guddaa fiduutu mala kan jiru tuyxee jirti. Kanaan akka malee if eeggachuu qabdanii ka jiru pointiin isii wanta goote. Gaafiilee takka kanaaf ta'e wajjin pointiilee haftees isii wanta goone akkasitti walitti deebina. Okay, thank you. This is very good information. With that, few questions on the chat, and I also wanted to add, I know that regarding the refugee resettlement and as well as the Welcome Corp, those executive order was just for 90 days at the time, but 90 days has passed. Do you have any update on what would that, is it to be indefinite for now, or is that what are we expecting some change to come on that one? Because that's where our people need information on the most. There's so many people who file for that Welcome Corp, and they're just hanging and crossing finger and see what is going to happen.
Yes, I can look into that in more detail. I don't have a good answer for that specifically right now. But a lot of things remain to be seen because there's a lot of judicial intervention, a lot of judges stopping things or allowing things. So I would ask for some time to be able to tell you what the specific situation is for that program. So yeah, that's all I can say right now.
Great. There was a question on the chat that one said what about the kid of naturalized citizen who has a passport? I think
whether
you
it's
kinda
a good
touched on that
idea
one.
for them to carry the passport. Do you think that's what the question is about? Whether the kids who have passports should carry them?
Yeah, whatever status you have is good to have the evidence to
Yes.
present in case, right?
So some people have asked me that, like, should their kids carry a copy of their birth certificate with them? Should they carry their passport? I would say a clear color copy that shows that they were born in the United States, or if they have a passport, they can put that in their backpack. And I think it's going to be very rare that immigration arrests children, because if they arrest a child, they have to put the child in a shelter, and we have not seen very much of that. But if your child was born here, yes, give them a copy of their passport or their birth certificate and put it in their backpack. If the child came here as an immigrant and has some sort of status, then I would I would put that, make a copy of their work permit, make a copy of their green card, of their citizenship certificate, whatever it is, and put it in their backpack. But the schools are not asking what people's immigration status is. Okay, but the reason why it might be helpful for them to have proof of their status with them is that ICE is now allowed to go into schools. They're allowed to go into hospitals. They're allowed to go into churches or mosques under this administration. Previous administrations prevented ICE from coming into places that were considered sanctuaries, but they can go to schools now. We have not heard of that happening, but I do think it's important for children to have proof of their status too. Yes. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that if you do not have status and you're afraid that you will get arrested by immigration, you should be thinking about making a plan for who would take care of your child if you're ever arrested by immigration. Okay, that's something I do a lot with my Latin American clients. We prepare documents. My children will be taken care of by this other person. And, you know, you can sign it. There's an official document. It's called the Delegation of Parental Authority. That I put it in the chat. The Delegation of Parental Authority. I don't know if that went to everybody though. You know what? Yeah. Okay, thank you. The Delegation of Parental Authority is a document that you can create where you name somebody else to take care of your children. That's another thing that you may want to consider doing. Okay. There was another question about the I-90 form. The I-90 is to renew your green card or replace your green card if you lost it. It's possible to do the I-90 online with your USCIS account. I'm sure some of you are familiar with, again, that went to Waleed. I don't know how to send it to everybody, but the USCIS account is where you would go to apply for asylum. You can apply for your work permit, TPS, and you can renew your green card. You can also apply for naturalization through your USCIS account. Okay, how long does it take for the I-90? That can take a little while. I'm gonna share my screen and show you all the USCIS, let's see, uscis.gov. This is U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. If you have an account, you can sign into your account, right? You enter your email address or your password. Now, I'm going to go back. If you don't have an account, you can create an account, and it's a whole process. But I wanted to show you, there's a couple of tools on this website. So the I-90 here is the application to replace permanent resident green card. You can file online through your account. That's really helpful. To get to the specific question about how long does it take, I wanted to show you this feature where it says manage your case. You can actually check a pending case. If you have a case that's pending with immigration, you can put in the receipt number. Let's we can put in a receipt number. I don't know if I have a case that I can, let's see if that could be an invalid number. Yeah, that's invalid. If you, I can't think of one because I don't have any files with me, but if you check your receipt notice, you can put the receipt number in there and it will tell you the status of your case. And then you can also check processing times. For the I-90, if you're doing a replacement or a 10-year renewal, it depends. Say you're doing the 10-year renewal, you can figure out that it's taking 13.5 months. That's the estimate. It could come sooner than that. And if you have no problems in your record, no criminal record, you could even get it within a month because the online system is fast, but it's not fast for everyone. So sometimes cases take longer. Sometimes there's a reason, like a person has a criminal offense and it's just taking longer. Or maybe it landed with an officer that is really backlogged. And so it takes the full 13.5 months. If your case has been pending for longer, you can call immigration. So say you applied in April of 2022. That allows you to send a question or an inquiry online, or you can call and ask about your case. But if you applied within the last 13.5 months, you can call, but they won't give you any information. So that's just something to think about. And you can look for any kind of case type. Like the N-400 is the application for naturalization. In Minneapolis, it's taking 7.5 months, like I said. That improved under Biden. Under Trump the first time, it was over 13 months. So it really depends. And it depends on the part of the country that you're in. Like in New York right now, taking 8.5 months. We could just choose another, say like in, San Diego, it's taking 8 months. So that's a pretty good, it's pretty standard around 7 to 8 months. But I do expect that that will slow down. Okay. So hopefully that was of interest to you. I want to show you another website. This is the EUIR case status portal. You can take pictures of these the web address. This is for the court. Maybe some of you have seen this already. If you have court, then you can look up the status of your case on this website. And I'm going to put in an alien number. I'm sure you're familiar with that term, alien number. It's not I don't agree with that. I don't like how they call that an alien number, but essentially if you have any process with immigration, they assign you an alien number. So this is just one that I made up. It's for a woman who's in immigration proceedings here, Fort Snelling. It says the court. And it says here, there are no future hearings for this case. That means she doesn't have a hearing right now, but sometimes a person has a hearing and it will say in this box right here when that hearing is. So if you are in court, you can look this up on a daily basis to see if anything has changed with your case, okay? So that's another tool that I wanted to show you. The other tool that I wanted to show you is the ICE detainee locator system. hopefully you never have to use this, but if you have a family member that gets arrested by ICE, then you should be able to locate them through this website. But for some reason, it's not working right now. It's loading. Also with their alien number. So if you have anyone in your family who's at risk of being arrested by ICE, then make sure you know their full name, their birth date, their alien number, and make sure you have that information accessible so that if you hear that maybe your relative got detained, you can look this up. You can also call immigration. You can call the local ICE office, but they're very hard to work with. They're not very nice, and sometimes they don't even answer the phone. So I did want to show you this, but for some reason, the website is not working right now. So, but if you take a picture of that, you can try to look at it at another time. And hopefully, you know, you can play around with it. Okay, so that really was all the information that I had regarding different websites that you might want to use. And okay, get to this question about can I adjust my status if I enter the United States illegally and marry a US citizen? By the way, I have TPS in a pending asylum case. Is a travel document still available for TPS holders? Okay. Well, in your situation, if you want to fix your status, you have to go through a pretty long process. Are you in removal proceedings? Are you in court, immigration court? This is for Abdi. I don't know if he's still on the call, but you cannot leave the country on a travel document if you're in removal proceedings. Okay. If you're not in removal proceedings, I still don't think it's a good idea to travel outside of the country until you get your green card. So it's in theory, it's possible to get a travel document, but I do not recommend traveling outside of the country if you don't have a valid green card. And the follow-up question, how about traveling with a green card? You should be able to travel without a problem. But if you had any arrest by the police, any criminal matter, then it's not a good idea to travel with your green card. My husband is Canadian, and we just traveled outside of the country, and I was a little nervous that he would have a problem, but we traveled fine. We traveled to Honduras in March, and we went through immigration, and it was easy. So if you have your green card and it's valid, and you have your passport and it's valid, you should be able to travel in and out of the country without a problem. Okay. Does anybody else have? Okay, it seems like there's a question. Okay, how to obtain TPS? Okay, what country? That's from Mukhtar. What country? Let me show you. I can share my screen again. Okay. Back to this. It still didn't load, but I'm going to go to the USCIS website. You can apply for TPS through the website. So TPS is the I-821. Oh, I just saw it over there. The I-821, application for temporary protected status, Okay, so you can file online. The filing fee, it's not expensive to apply at all. It's really cheap. But if you're, say it's TPS for Ethiopia, you have to meet this. So re-registration has closed, and then initial registration through December of 2025. So if you're applying for TPS, but you have to show continuous residence in the United States since April 11th of 2024 and continual physical presence since June of 2024. So you would have to have already come to the United States by April 11th of 2024. And if you look at it, it's only valid until December of 2025. So it's possible to get the TPS status, but then you're only guaranteed through 2025. I don't know if they will reauthorize. And then for TPS for Somalia is through 2026. And let's see, re-registration and then registration for first timers. So you can, if you have not applied for TPS, you can still apply for if you're from Ethiopia or Somalia, but you have to make sure that you meet these dates. Okay, so you have to have gotten here by July of 2024. Okay, so if you came even one day later, you're not eligible. So that's the information about temporary protected status. Okay, and then
Thank you, Danielle. I think
yes. Oh, good. Okay.
this is the most important information that you have kind of touched base on, and your knowledge is brought. I think we are lucky to have someone who has multiple license within the United States like you. Can you tell us statistically what percent of the asylees seeker are potentially being granted the status currently?
If the part of what you said was cut off, so can you just repeat it?
Yeah. Just statistically, if you could just tell us what percent of the asylee seeker is being accepted or granted the status in the United States right now?
Oh, that is a very good question. So it's very low, I would say. It's a low percentage. If you're in court, if you're in immigration court, this is something that I can look up for you right now and then share the statistics, but it depends on your judge. Okay, so if you have, some of the judges have a decision rate of like 15%. Some of them, I'm gonna share my screen and show you. Hold on a second. Let's see, how can I share? Okay. And then I wanted to, okay. This is a website that says Judge by Judge Asylum Decisions in Immigration Court. Now, our court is under Bloomington. And if you see this column is total decisions. This is percent granted asylum and percent granted other relief that's not asylum, and then the percentage of denied. So the two columns that we're going to look at are percent granted and percent denied, okay? And when we're looking at Bloomington, granted 12%, denied 85%, granted 18.8%, denied 79%, okay? So the best judge, Catherine Hansen, she left earlier. She left last year, but she was at 58% granted, 36% denied. Audrey Carr grants 44% and denies 54%. So in Minnesota, your best judge right now is Audrey Carr. So it's not easy to win asylum. And this judge right here, he loves to deny cases. He denies most of his cases. So that is if you are in immigration court, okay? And this is tracking judges over the last 5 years. If your case is before USCIS, the USCIS asylum grant rate varies, but generally falls within the range of 35 to 50%. So you will see, you can get all sorts of statistics about asylum. This, I think, is by country. So if you want to see Ethiopia, 239 total grants. So the grant rate is 66%. That's very good. That's really, really good. And then Somalia, grant rate 38%. That's decent. So it really depends. If you're in court, it's very hard to win, but you can appeal. You can always appeal a negative decision. And then you can be in the process for longer. The appeal sometimes takes 3 to 5 years. So if you feel like you want to continue fighting your case, you can appeal. If your case is denied by USCIS, you apply with USCIS and they deny your case, then they refer you to court and you get a second opportunity to seek asylum in court, and that's in removal proceedings. Okay, so that I think is a good, it's good to know that information. And
Absolutely, yes.
I'm happy to answer. Mhm.
Thank you. If nobody else has a question, I think it's about 8 o'clock on class right now, so we can wrap it up. And this is really good information. Attorney, we hope to have you back and to follow up on this discussion. And I believe our community really benefiting out of this, the most needed information
Thank
that
you
you
so
present
much.
to us today.
Yes.
This is great. So hopefully, we'll touch. We're gonna work it on from time to time as this information is the most needed. So we'll have you back at some point, and this is really good. And thank you.
Yes.
On behalf of our community, I wanted to thank you.
Thank you. This was an honor for me. I truly appreciate the invitation, and I can see that there were a lot of people who are tuned in. The last thing before I go, I want to be able to, this is online too. So if you can share this with everybody, the Advocates for Human Rights put together a list of the Twin Cities attorneys. This is my information right here. Justicia Law is my law firm. I'm now at a different address, but this is my phone number right here. But I want to make sure that you have the whole list because the various nonprofits that help, like Immigrant Law Center, if you need to reach a lawyer, then you can reach out to the lawyers on this list. Okay. Sometimes the lawyers are available, sometimes they're not, but just keep on calling because there will be somebody to help you when you need it. Okay. There's a lot of really good lawyers in the Twin Cities. So thank you everyone for having me. I really feel honored by the invitation and I look forward to speaking to all of you again. Feel free to reach out to me. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hopefully we'll see you again.
Yes. Bye-bye. Bye.
All right. Information ni gara kama senar harkane khana fakata. Yo rabbi je salanis diate Sheikh Abdul Saburi tu khana boda sagantati antunu goloba. Pointi da kamola mata isin gara boda khana jette isin iftu kuda fira gudda information isi reference gote Ustaz Walid post gode jira gurbi dana gaisatti kata itti kezi khenya lalu takao namalle lalu yo in case namni mana dalle sene karat lalu muhanale information share godu jali gote gote information is very useful when it come pointing guddo na wasa khenya lal chisu why sponsor asani why sponsor asan dilasi rati corona ko daga geisne fuldura wan sani rekorde bolina sani suni dan dia jette kawai welcome korpi dati kawai namota ma bin sponsor sani kharati dada sani sambali nan ranumba ne so kawai khani namne khenya regudda namai fe gannu mara kuma isan sin university khanati documenti sera kabanne jira chodar wanni sin guddon ta hasin udamte galatoma I think share di fama jara to kwas nabira na wani godi jira ki amata afranas de mo kana halo makana na chada barsunu anjo damsi gud bank sin wana gote wani hundinu jiramni yaro ta khajole no krite jirti so khana ga manafini ya dawai sina so ikhana ratio ni fi wani takataka wani yata yojira manafi ya da bana ya da rakabdan nama ngala mata di takara fudanneti ibju salani salata bodoli de masakata tani fi
harka baasanii gaarii moo
amshira ka arka basa da wai khanarati fi bakin no khanna ngala fum
السلام عليكم.
wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh
يا وني تكاتاتك شو ati odon ibsin bira kutte uga manatti warri ofisroni immigration nama dhufan ewlaadu raambinina yo kortirraa wan fidamlee itsan bakka sanaatiin irraa hanfatte inni ibse yoo namni gadi ni jiraattu waan sana silaa irra deebitee ibsitee gaarii akkasuma jechuudha.
bufa heddu galatomi point jaiba wani goto wani guddon takka kaisin kafte yo gama seirarra waraka warning kakaho waraka gama seirarra hayyama nama kana manas trakun ne sanjau male khadufan ular rambanina yommo citizen qabatani garte ula bantelle ani citizen amal na rafete chunen nende salle khajotu ite jirti ammo gama khanin hanga qama seerarraa waraqaa fiddunitti abbaa seerarraa waraqaa fiddunitti sirraa hin banuu sin dubbisu si wajji dubbiin qabu jettanii diduudhaaf waarantii jaajirraa qaama abbaa seerarraa dhuftu hangaan harkutti sin dubbisu jettee diduu mirga qabda kajau keeysen keeyse galatoon pointi guddoo na yaadachiifte.
Okay, dubbachuu danda'a?
Babram dandeessee.
Ani taniin irra deebi'ee himu wanni hedduu isiin dhaamte namoota bira dhayxan looyeroota kan ofirraa beekuu barbaachisaa. Namoonni yeroo guddaan agartee warra maallaqa malee irra guddaa waan agartee namarraa dantaa hin qabne fa'aadha. Namoota hedduu namoota keezii looyerirraa balleesses agartee.
Ibrahim jidduu dhaabbattee jirti.
Halo, amoonni dhagama?
Amma ni jirti.
Wanni guddaan dhaamsi guddaan tokko beektee kan nama achirratti dabarsite guddaan tan nama keenya kanatti rakkoo hedduu fiddee namni ammas egaa rakkoon irra gahee nu bira gahee looyera bira geessine guddoo takka nama isiin dhaamte nama heeraa fi nama looyeraa malee agartee nama hunda bira dhaqaniiti waraqaa guutuun akka rakkoo ta'e himtee jirti. Maaliif namoonni agartee looyeruma kanaa hojjanaan tokko osoo ati keezii rakkoo takka qabdu ammaan dura hidhamtee waan adda addaa qabdu kana deebi'aniiti si guutanii achitti deebitee agartee rakkoo keessa faa seenuu jira. Namoonni professional looyerooti cimaan kuni garuu interviews godhanii ammaan dura badii balleessitee jedhanii waan kee kana harkanii tartiibaan laalamee dura waan agartee sitizinii si dhoorku san yookaan gufuulee adda addaa amma booda agartee sitizinii si dhoorkutu kanarraa karaarraa meessanii san booda sitizinii appilaayi si godhan yoo namoota agartee looyerooti cimaa ta'e kaan irraan kaayyanne muhammatti kannitu kanatti guutee si kannee booda ati amma deebitee jarri si darbuun ni mala namoota adda addaatti akkasitti amma darbamuu irratti faa rakkoonni akkasii sanitti dhufee ni jira. So bakki tuni hedduu ofirraa laaluu barbaachisaa jechuudha. Nama seeraa fi heeran beeknu looyeroota illee ta'u namoota ammas akkanumatti namaa guutu kun ofirraa akka gaariitti agartee gaafachuu barbaachisa. Namichi kun muuxannoo hangam takka qabaa. Waan adda addaa nama looyeratti hidhaati jira. Kan waa guutus ni jira. Kan waa hundaa agartee heera isaa eeggatee guutus ni jira. Laakiin Twin City kana keessatti namoota asaayilamiin agartee sababa uummata agartee looyeran tahiniidhaan namoota adda addaa kanuma kanatti maallaqa xiqqaadhaan nama ni guunna jedhanii rakkoo keessa naqee jira jechuu kiyya. Tuni hedduu itti yaaduu barbaachisaa jechuu kiyya bakka dhayxan waatti guutan kana ofirraa baruu barbaachisaa. Hanguma sanii yoo barbaade jajjabeessuu barbaade.
Sirriidha Obbo Ibrahim pointiin ati kaafte pointii guddoodha. Heera biyya kanaatitti yoonii fi looyerri dogongoree waan hin taane godheesi abbaan dhimmaa waan ati taateef dogongorri san gizee qaama seeraa dhaqee dogongora heettaa malee dogongora looyeraan ta'u so nama adda ofirraa beekuun nama waan kana dandeettiitti qabu bira waa guutuun dokumentii ta'e odoon ergine akka gaarii adda adda baasuun barbaachisaa Obbo Ibrahim galatoomii pointii guddoodha akka gaarii keessa dippilii ibsite sirriidha.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikum salaam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yaa wanni hundi dubbatamtee haala gaarii waan bareeda fiddanii gartee looraas yoo ta'e nama hin taane bira dhaqanii guutattuurra maallaqa laaltanii ammaas maallaqa xiqqaadhaan gartee bakka hin taane torqaa guuturra bakkuma seera qabdu gartee nama beekumsa waan kanaa qabu irratti guuttatuutu irra gaarii yeroo ammaa tanatti. Biraa yoo gartee loora haayir gootee loora sanillee gartee haa dubbii lafarra harkisuu fi gartee siin dareenu taate faayir godhuu mirga harka qabdu. Loora jijjiiruu akka dandeessus gartee kun hubatamuu qabaadha. Isin dabarsitee kunillee gartee yaadatamuu qaba yaada jiruun qaba bareedaadha galatoomaa.
Sirriidha adeera jallo yaa mirga qabnu itti fayyadamuun waan silaa godhamuu qabu gizeedhaan gootee waan siif hin taanee fi wanni tan adda baafachuun barbaachisaadha. Yeroon ammaa kun bayyanootaan yoo waan goone jireenya keenya irra rakkoo fiduu danda'a haja'u san tuutee jirti. Sirriidha pointii gaariidha galatoomii.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikum salaam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ani gaafin tiyya warri biyya kana I think waan kana quban qabanii irra guddaan. So yoo rekoordii gootanii jiraattan sila dabarsuun fedha warra asiitiif nama tokko tokkoon waliif daddabarsinaa beeytee akka dhagayan dubbii tana. Akkam isiniif fakkaata?
Ustaaz Walid wanni kun gara social media hin dabre bareeda.
bikka kamiin harkadha maali? Eenin qaba hayyo. Baay'ee galatoomaa.
Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikum salaam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Galatooma obboleessin keenya tuni wanni isin kaafte waan barbaachisaadha. Nama dhibba keessa hin jirre akkamitti dhaqqabnaanii jechuun waan guddoodha. San nu ibsitanii isiifillee ibsitanii galatoomaa talamada. Dukumintii fudhadhaa deebaa warri gartee tiisinaa jan kuri dukumintii tuni tami baasa boora moo maali jechuu kiyya gaafin.
Sirriidha. Gaafin ati qabdu sirriidha jedha. Laal wanni isin jette dokumentii harkaa qabdan waan qabdan namni giriin kaardii qabu giriin kaardii isaa qabatee akka deemu. Kan work permitii qabus work permitii namni paaspoortii biyya kanaa qabus paaspoort kaardii jedhanii kanuma akka ID'dhaatti jira takka shaayatee deemuu hin dandeessu. Yeroo ammaa kana waan eenyummaa kee ibsu akka harkaa qabaachuun barbaachisaadha. Akkuma haajaa biraatii gabbaatetti yoo jira kana harka buute waan takka lakkii ani citizenaa jettee takka hoo lakkii ani heeraan biyya kana jira jettee waan ittiin agarsiiftu akka qabaachuun waan eenyummaa kee ibsu qabaachuun barbaachisaadha. Yoo sanillee kaaftu taate koppiillee ta'u koppiillee yoo footollee yoo kaafattanii clear yoo footollee kaafattan barbaachisaadha. Wooma si ibsu akka qabadhaa deemaa akka jiru wanni isin himtu.
discussion inshallah I think بوده صلاة بوده تولي ديبنا صلاة ناس جيجرا جزاكم الله خير الجزاء عند غيسنو غلطوا على كما أستاذ ولي جيت وني ريكورد تعمل جرا دار السلام الرجرا يوتيوب الرجرا إن شاء الله راكم تكلين نجرتو قافين بلا تكتك يوافت بوده صلاة بوده ولي ديبنا إن شاء الله نموت صلاة رابعة وهقول إن شاء الله السلام عليكم شيخ عبد الزبوري جرا قام فقاتنا إن شاء الله تكم صلاة ولي ديبنا
Inshallah salaanee walitti deemna. Ayyaa galatoomaa.